2-3 days away, and that should be actually our concern this morning on the program. The organizers, that's INEC, says it is very, very, very ready. That 12 out of 14 schedules of the agency has actually been accomplished, and is left with just 2. That's before election. And those 2 are actually scheduled for that's 15th and 14th and 15th, meaning that there should be no hitch at all from the INEC part. And he's also enjoining stakeholders to actually cooperate with the agency to ensure a hitch-free, free and fair, credible elections.
Yeah, and as much as INEC is saying that it's ready, there's still an issue about its readiness, which the PDP is saying that the INEC has not disclosed mode of accreditation, voting and collation, transmission, and the declaration of results from polling units to the final declaration.
So in other words, there are issues.
There's issues.
Even beyond that, are you also aware that SDP, Social Democratic Party, is even asking for complete postponement? That's a postponement of the election.
Yes.
Saying that its candidate, that's Natasha Apoti, has just been cleared by the court of law, and that if that's a few days ago, and she's been denied so much, and she's not fully ready.
And then she's been attacked.
Yesterday, she was even denied access to the peace accord venue. So all these things put together is putting the candidate at a disadvantage, and for which reasons is asking for a postponement of the elections. So there are issues. There are so many. But,
and then also the deputy governorship candidate of the APC for Bayelsa State.
Yes.
We had also disqualified.
That's a few days to election.
Due to irregular.
But it has gone. The party has gone to
the
appeal court. But what window? We have only just 2 days before the elections. But should that let the PDP? The PDP is saying that once the deputy gubernatorial candidate, the running mate, has an issue, that the entire team should be disqualified. So whether that holds water,
saying that the party cannot stand on one leg.
Yeah. So these are issues. So when you actually juxtapose these issues based on what INEC chairman said, is the agency actually ready for the elections? By saying that despite those issues, the intra-party disputes, and all that, that the INEC, that's the agency, is fully ready to go ahead with the elections.
And then also another issue is the dispatchment of army policemen to these states in such quantum, let me describe it as quantum quantity, 35,000. You hear huge numbers like that dispatched to this state, to be able to ensure that the election is hitch-free. And then saying that they will be at the polling units to ensure that there's no violence and vote buying.
You and I know that there has been so much tension in the 2 states. There has been a build-up, a terribly negative build-up towards elections, and all the agencies of government, particularly the security agencies, are worried that, as to how to make the elections hitch-free, violent-free, without bloodshed, without any encumbrances and any issues. So they are concerned, and I do not think any number is too much.
Oh, well, the police IGP and Mahmoud Yakubu got a taste of it yesterday during at the venue for the signing of the peace accord, when the hoodlums were disrupting the meeting and the police had to start throwing tear gas. They were shielded from the account, they were actually shielded by security operatives. So they had like a first taste of, what we're talking about.
So the IGP couldn't be wrong by saying that he needs a large number of security men in those states. I mean, because of what he has also experienced. I mean, the peace accord was supposed to be a kind of a peaceful atmosphere amongst the parties, all with a very positive mindset towards having each free elections. But look at the way it turned out. So these are issues that cause for serious concern. And then PDP is saying there should be level playing ground. If the elections must go on, and it must be to be hitch free and violent free and free and fair, there must be, by the agencies must ensure, as INEC must ensure, level playing ground amongst all the political parties. Okay. But let me ask you, Jumake, do you think, based on the request of SDP, INEC may consider a postponement of the election in Kogi?
Well, I don't see that happening, because what if they weren't cleared? What if SDP candidate wasn't cleared to participate in the election? They wouldn't have had anything to do.
That would be a disenfranchisement.
Yeah, but the case is in court, and
no,
the court
they cleared them.
Yeah, court cleared them. So I don't think
the one in the process of struggling for the clearance, they couldn't have been campaigning.
Exactly.
That's their point.
So I feel they should even see it as a favor to them.
Favor?
Okay. Maybe, well, just be happy that they are even cleared at all to be part of the election, instead of asking for
no, if a party has been wrongfully or a candidate has been wrongfully disqualified, I mean, that's a denial of his rights.
Well, I think what they can do is still go back to court, but it's
to stop the election.
To stop the election based on their reasons for asking for the postponement. And will that work in 2 days? I
think that's well said.
Yeah, so I think they could just make very good
today use. Today is Wednesday, could still approach the court. That the elections, for these reasons, the elections should need, in the interest of the people of Kogi, because one thing we should actually realize, that every candidate is, when approaching elections, every candidate is very, very optimistic of victory. Yeah. Of victory. And who knows, if SDP has a greater chance than other parties in the state, nobody knows until the elections are conducted and results are declared. Maybe based on the conviction that they probably have the chances of winning the election, if the level is there's a level playing ground. So, all
right, so that's our discussion topic this morning. We are looking at Kogi and Bayelsa elections having a hitch-free election. And while we wait for our guests who would like to have this interaction with you, viewers, you can send your thoughts and contribution to this topic to 080-233-47-006. The number will be displayed there on the screen. And you can share. Okay, it's already there. You can share your thoughts with us on this issue of the preparedness of INEC, the situation in Kogi and Bayelsa states, as the election is just 2-3 days away. And we'll be able to read out your messages. And please remember to include your name and location when you send us an SMS. Please, we will not entertain any call today like we've always done. So please just send an SMS and we will definitely read out your contribution to this topic. Well, we'll go on a quick break, and then when we return, we'll continue with the discussion.
I need the police that can respond to emergencies first.
I want the equipment I need to do my job.
I want a police that won't harass or arrest me for no just reason.
I want to be valued for my work, not feared by honest people.
I want a police that won't ask me anything for the boys.
I want a decent salary that is paid on time.
If it happen with good laws,
proper funding,
training,
and cooperation.
If it happen.
If it happen.
If it happen.
All right, it's still summit, and thank God we have our guest here in the person of Mr. Wale Ogunade, the President Voters Awareness Initiative, and he's also an attorney at law. Welcome, sir. Good to have you join us.
To God be the glory.
Thank you.
Good, the traffic was a bit favorable to him. We never assumed he would be here.
I came here a little way.
Thank you very much. We've been discussing at our level, but I know we need professional input, particularly because this is your area of specialty, elections, voters, education, and all that. Now, we're looking at 3 days before Kogi and the Bayelsa elections. Several issues have been raised. Let me start with the SDP, whose candidate, that's Natasha Poti, was actually cleared by the law court a couple of days ago to run in this election. And INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yaku, has assured us that the party would actually, the inclusion of the party would not affect the running of those elections. So the party is ready. But the party is calling for a postponement. The chairman of the party, Professor Tunde Adeniran, is saying that based on the struggles to get cleared, that they are not at a good advantage to contest the elections on Saturday. So they are calling for the postponement of the elections. There are also issues of tension. There are issues yesterday at the peace accord signing ceremony. The candidate of SDP was denied access, and even the IGP was, according to the IGP, was also experienced a taste. I mean, had a taste of the hoodlums misdemeanor at the event. There have been cases of attacks in both states. And then in Bayelsa, the running mate to APC, the APC gubernatorial candidate, has also been disqualified based on the regular names by the law court. Although the court, the party has appealed. Several issues. But to start with, do you think the call for the postponement of election on Saturday by SDP is valid, and whether it is realistic?
Unfortunately, I met with Natasha, I guess about 3 weeks or a month ago. In the day or so after she was banned or she was disqualified as a result of her non-qualification of her running mate. And I told her personally, this was a one-on-one discussion, that I hope you've gone to court. She said yes, and I hope your lawyers have helped you adjust the prayers that will be appropriate, so that if eventually you win, because I know that she cannot be going around campaigning, which anyway I advise her that she can't campaign, because I know that she has a valid ground to win, and that she should ask in the prayer for an extension of time within which the election should take place, because they asking cannot make any move. INEC have all things on ground. And if not, I too will be on my way to Lokoja anytime now, because I'm part of those that will be involved. Our group is
election observers.
So everything is on stage and set for the elections, and I don't see what will happen to disturb it. The only thing that can happen to disturb it is that, of course, she has to go to court again, because she got in through the court, and she will go to the courts to get her matters settled appropriately. If the court decides that yes, she was cheated, she was not given, there is no fair opportunity, there is no level playing ground, and so on and so forth, in the by the system to favor her, then obviously they may say that, of course, they will nullify that election, and of course another one will be conducted.
Was that feasible in just a few days?
No, not within these few days. I'm saying that she will have to go to court to do that. Okay. The election will have taken place. We will now look at it that there will be another election that will take place, that the whole process is a nullity, and so on and so forth. Again, that's for the courts to decide. Then concerning all the issues that are surrounding these elections, you know that the stakes are very, very high. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, the winner takes all. And so if the winner takes all, then you know that everyone will do what other soldiers call do and die politics. And unfortunately, there is nothing one can do about it now. It's still the players, the politicians, and the security agents that will put their feet down, that they want the system to be okay. If the refuse, then one way or the other, they too will be victims and beneficiaries of their lackadaisical attitude. Because no one is safe. They are not safe. It's a matter of employing thugs and hoodlums. So it is the person who has the highest number of thugs and force that will carry the day. It shouldn't be. Election is not war. And we have said it several times that election is not war. But the political class see it as war. And we know that it consumes them. And of course, they are the ones who will lose at the end of the day. Most of the time, during the election and even in election petition, because again, I'm involved in election petition. During election petitions, once in a while, they are able to prove, or we are able to prove that indeed there are acts of violence, there are acts of intimidation, there are acts of thuggery, and of course, not following the proper procedure in conducting the elections. And once we are able to prove that, you find out that in the last 2 weeks or so, elections of some popular candidates or some powerful candidates have been upturned by the Court of Appeal. It shows that indeed they must learn from this. If they refuse to correct themselves, then thank God they now approach the courts. So the judiciary will step in and correct them and with them in line. It's only in Nigeria that we engage the judiciary. The political class must themselves respect themselves and not allow people to see them as people who are of low character and esteem.
All right. Yesterday at the peace accord, signing of the peace accord in Kogi State, the IGP actually read out a riot act in a way to curb violence and disruptions during the election. And he said so many things. He said they have reports that some people are planning to import thugs. He said he will checkmate them. He said those who are in possession of arms, he urges them to surrender them now. He also warned that politicians will not be allowed to move about with security escorts on election day. He also says adequate security and protection will be provided for electoral officers, electoral materials and INEC facilities during the election. He also told policemen on election duty to be professional and adhere to the code of conduct expected of them. Now, these are some things he read out. Do you actually see, with this atmosphere of violence and do or die attitude we have from the politicians, do you actually see them adhering to these rules and instructions from the IGP?
The Yorubas will say the knife is in your hand and the yam is in your hand. The ability to cut it and cut it right now depends on you. The police are in charge of providing security, and it's their duty to provide security. It's unfortunate that on election day you see some forms of hooliganism, thuggery, and all sorts of violence on election day. As an election observer, I know that there are what we call red spots. They are flashpoints, or any state, any ward, any unit. They have their own flashpoints. There are places that you know they are danger places. Then you deploy more men. Apart from that, you mop them up. Those who are troublemakers, you know them. You know people who are troublemakers. Arrest them before the election. Before the election,
disenfranchise them.
That's not the issue of defense. The Section 45 is there in the 1999 Constitution. For public safety and morality, for public safety. If you know that some people will constitute nuisance or security risk, you arrest them. But of course, it's not just arrest just like that. You know, because you read it out now that people have guns, right? So you know them. The other day, I know I told you on this platform about 30 years ago or more than that. I was still very, very young. I was still full of exuberance. I was coming from Ijebu around 7 o'clock. And of course, the traffic was not like this. You know that 1 hour straight you'll get to Lagos. And the man met me at the junction when we are leaving Ijebu, they just hitting the express. God, give me a ride. I stopped. I gave him a ride. Eventually, he was a mufti. Now said he's a policeman. I said, okay, no problem. So where are you going? He said he's going to Abeokuta. He thought I was going to Abeokuta. I said, no, I'm going to Lagos. So I said, he shouldn't worry that I'll drop in at the interchange. He said, no, don't drop me at the interchange. I said, why? He said, there are robbers there. So why don't you go and lay ambush on them? Go and call your colleagues and lay ambush. He said, that thing he had is not possible like that and so on. So What am I saying is that the police know the hideout of the criminals. I'm sure you are old enough to know when Bubamara was governor of Lagos State. He called all the security chiefs and said, no keke must care in Lagos. Before he came, the National Rambo took over Lagos and all robbery took over Lagos. He said he does not any DPO that he has anything in his vicinity. The DPO is in soup. We had peace then. So what stops everybody, the IGP now going to Kogi and instead of issuing threat or advice or whatever warning, tell your boys, you know what to do. I don't want to hear any pen shaking on. Not all these things. You can bet me. By Saturday or Sunday, we'll be hearing news of violence here and there are pockets of them anyway, or sometimes even on large scale. Because don't forget that the stakes is high in Kogi.
Yeah.
Now, I know one thing that actually stood out of 2019 elections was the statement credited to the president that the security people should shoot at sight. Now, do you think this is applicable? Would be applicable in a? People not say this. That's a draconian.
No, did I say they should shoot at sight? I said they should arrest people who are troublemakers.
I'm asking. No, I mean, it's just that ballot bag box are snatched.
You see, there are
and the polling booths are sacked.
There are situations. A situation will determine the type of reaction. An action will determine the type of reaction that will come. In as much as I will not advocate shoot at sight, or that people who are committing acts of banditry, thuggery or disturbing the peace are shot at sight, to me is that they can take proactive measure. I don't like this reactive measure. It's not too good. As I said, I mean, it's just like a police or a DP of Ojuelegba telling us that saints live in Ojuelegba, Lagos. That's not, that place is calm. You know that Ojuelegba is the heartbeat of anything negative. You know that there are people who are good there, but then go there Ojuelegba from 11, 10, 12, midnight. You see that if care is not taken, you will just disappear yourself. So that type of person, that type of a situation, you know that what to do to ensure that security is maintained that place 24/7. The same way, elections are coming, the hype is there. We have seen that there are so many things on ground working towards a release. I mean, if the whole party secretariat is set ablaze, then you think that is a tea party?
No arrest.
Okay, now let's move into the core of elections itself. And thank God that you're also a very, very strong participant, in the sense that you've been part of it. That's all you do in the last 20 years or so that I know. Now, the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud, said out of 14 schedules of the agency, that 12 have actually been totally accomplished. He's only left with 2. Now, the distribution of sensitive materials and all that, everything is on course. Now, from the benefit of somebody that's an insider, that has an inner knowledge of the workings of INEC, what's your assessment as a pre-election assessment of the preparedness of INEC?
Very correct. I'm not an insider. I don't work with INEC.
No, you are a stakeholder.
All of us are stakeholders.
You are a stakeholder.
You are equally. Well, maybe if I will take it that
yes, you are a partner
I'm involved as someone who is involved. Like Emeka Ojukwu will say, I say Emeka or Bianca, because I'm involved. Anyway, yes, I know that INEC has really done it this time around. They have done. We are in our process of engagement. We encourage them to have timelines, and of course, we worked on all these timelines, and the timelines are working. They are following it. And the
you want to be specific about some of them?
Well, it's about various notices that to be given, the announcements to be given, the preparation of the nomination of polling units, and of course the distribution of sensitive material and non-sensitive materials. And I'm sure today and tomorrow. Today is
Wednesday.
Thursday and Friday.
Today is 13th.
Thursday and Friday they will start the distribution of the sensitive materials. Then of course on the elections. Those are the two major things that remains to be done. And of course the declaration of the result are collapsed into the 14th. That's the last item that they will be doing. And to me, they are doing well. At least they are synergizing with the police. And I guess with the little advice I've given out, I'm sure they are listening. They are watching. And of course, all they need to do is to dot some T's and cross some I dot some I's and cross some T's, and that's all. They will be good to go. But in the area of security, I would advise that they top their games, particularly engaging the police, and the police themselves being on top of it. I know the IG will deploy a very senior rank, high-ranking officer, and thank God that Nigeria is not the whole of the country that is involved in the elections, so they can move, which I know they do, move some from neighboring states extra hands so that they deploy them to cover all the 21 local governments that will be involved in the elections, so that we'll have peace all over. It's a simple thing. Okay,
it's not as simple as you probably want to think. You recall that the last gubernatorial elections in the state, Kogi would actually pride itself as the state that started the era of inconclusive elections. You recall. Yeah. Now, how do we ensure that inconclusiveness does not characterize this coming elections?
Inconclusive election took place because generally there was low voter apathy then. But now there has been some increased voter education. 1, 2, the environment is now a little bit saner than before. Then INEC saner in the sense
when there are reports that tension is building by the day.
Tension is building, but people are ready. I mean, if I don't know, maybe you sent your reporters. People they have a lot of rallies all over. Fairness, there was no violence. People did not. They were not attacking their opponents' rallies, unlike what happened then. Now people had their rallies. I guess maybe again.
But that's not the report credited to the PDP gubernatorial candidate, Engineer Musawada, saying that there has been spate of attacks on its members, that's members of the party, by the rival political party, that's APC.
So would you say if there is a spate of attack, that may be isolated area. I'm talking about, I mentioned rallies. Before it is rallies, they will go to rallies, attack each other and destroy their podiums and their equipment. But that did not happen here. If it's attacks here and there, one cannot take that away from politicians. In a street or in a place, one will belong to one will belong to one. And don't forget, there is mass of defection here and there. And of course, those who are parties as it were before are now on the other side, and they will be bragging. Boys now, people. You deal with you people at the polls. We'll deal with you people.
And that could be bloody. We'll deal with you.
No, I just want to use language now.
You said it earlier that the stakes are very high.
Yes, the stakes are very high. You will see that we are going to defeat you at the polls. That's what I mean. So they will be bragging. The two people will be bragging. You've gone to the wrong side. Look at you people. We'll say, don't worry, election day is just some 5 days away.
Give us a kind of the picture of the atmosphere that's concerning security in Bayelsa.
For Bayelsa, it's even tougher.
Sorry, before we leave this issue of Kogi, still on this issue of avoiding inconclusive elections, one of the prominent things that PDP in Kogi State is saying that INEC has refused to disclose mode of accreditation, voting and collation, transmission and declaration of results from polling units to final destination. You know that in the 2019 election, that was one of the major issues that made for cancellation of results in so many areas. And then they feel that in this election in the states, that there should have been more clarifications on what their INEC is going to do concerning these issues. But they are saying that INEC has not really said anything about it.
Today is the day that INEC will roll out all they want to do.
Okay.
You see, I've already told all these politicians. Again, they are listening.
How many of them have you told?
As many as I can remember. I've known and maybe two conferences like this.
Okay,
whenever we're having programs, we interact with them. We have stakeholders forum.
Okay.
We have stakeholders forum now. All of us are involved in the electoral process, that they should not politicize everything. There is time for politics and there is time for governance. Once they politicize everything, then there will not, I know people will not move. When you now want to distract those who are supposed to do their job by bringing out all these little issues, INEC will be distracted.
Little issues?
They are little issues because they are issues that INEC, everybody knows that before the elections, INEC will always address them. the various electorates in that state. Then if it's a general election, the chairman will address the nation, tell us the procedure, tell us the mode. That is one. That is for general consumption. For party consumption, or before now, because last week we were in Abuja for a training. That's the observers. Political parties that will be involved in the election are equally went for a training with their agents. So all these things are things that have been done before. So coming out, that's why I said that they are not things that should now be thrown up to distract the system. I'm sure we all know that that is the practice. INEC cannot just jump up and start organizing an election, because they have a template that they will use and they will let the stakeholders know about it.
That was just transparency.
Yes, transparency.
In the way INEC has gone about.
The media too are involved. They educate them on it, and that's why you find out that you will see. Maybe I'm sure by this time tomorrow you will hear that in court they will rule out the rules. No camera, no wearing of party agents, and so on and so forth. No taking of pictures, no violence.
How
no
do we then
bringing of
know
food.
what's happening in those states?
No. They are different. Not the camera that we are talking about. I guess we are past that stage in Nigeria. It's not taking camera from inside the polling unit. Polling booth, not the polling unit. You can view and film what is happening in the polling unit, but not inside the booth to indicate how it is printed. So there are all those things are there in the public domain. But if they say they have not had it, I'm sure that there are people, because I'm involved in election petition.
We are moving towards 2023 elections. But then for this election, Professor Mahmoud Yakuba said the smart card reader will be applicable, that it will be applied fully. Now, but there have always been issues. You and I know. The intention has always been there to use it. But midway, it always gets truncated. Do you think INEC has actually put its house in order to ensure that the smart card readers is effectively used this time around?
They have given us that assurance when we had our training. And of course, that if they are always backup, they have backup for each one.
As a manual, use of manual? No, backup. The card reader itself, extra. Okay.
Don't forget that we are not going all whole log in Nigeria. So they have configured some so as backup for the ones in that state. So the issue of that's the card reader issue, becoming an issue is not there. Just what I was trying to say some few seconds ago. I'm involved in election petition, and there was a session. You
seem to be giving them a clean bill of health.
No, it's not as if I'm giving them a clean bill of health. Maybe today I woke up on the other side that I woke up with them. To me, they have done all they can. It is after now that we now see what went wrong.
Assess.
They have done all they can do. I told you I'm involved in it. We went for a training, and if they have trained and they have told us what they have in plan, and they are fulfilling it line by line. Before, you are the one who said that they have met 12 out of 14. So it means that they are moving. And don't forget that they too have a name to protect now. And then all eyes are on them. And international observers equally will be around. And the whole world will be looking at them. So they too must do a good job to sustain or to justify the confidence and the amount paid for the given to them to conduct the elections.
All right, let me just read out some messages we already have here with us. Famuyua Solomon from Ayobo, Lagos says, experience, they say, is the best teacher. Adequate security should be put in place and not postponement. Okpanachi Augustine from Kogi said, I'm from Kogi, but now I'm in Agege. Kogi people don't need Yaya Bello again. It's not by force. Those that intend to buy vote, how is INEC prepared to handle them? That's Shaibu Simon from Gombe. That message is from Gombe State. And then this one, Olukorede Jimo from Ojodu, Bega, says, how did touts find their way to the venue where a peace accord was meant to be signed? A place where the IG of police and INEC chairman were present. What a shameful thing. That's Olukorede Simon from Ojodu. All right. So
okay, the issue, very, very interesting one about the vote buying. The vote buying is a major issue when it comes to elections. Now, you cannot vouch for INEC. as far as a vote buying, because this is primarily the practice, that is prevalent among politicians. But are there signs that these things, the politicians have stopped, or they are not even thinking or aspiring to buy votes during these elections?
Vote buying is an issue that will be with us for some time.
Will be with us?
For some time. Anyone who is trying to wish away vote buying is just wasting his time. It's something that has to do with a gradual process of advocacy and education. There's hunger in the land. You may not look at it that way, but the person who needs just 2,000 naira, at least to
and he can get 5,000 naira immediately.
He can get it immediately. He will not think about tomorrow. That issue that we are raising. The intelligence there is not there. He's hungry and he wants to get something. Or he left his hungry child or a dying child at home who is sick, seriously sick. So vote buying and of course I tell you that it's a deliberate thing. So it's a twin thing. If we want vote buying to be totally eradicated in Nigeria, then we the people ourselves must put the politicians on their toes to deliver on their promises. We call it deliverables, electoral promises and deliverables. Because if they are social security, you know that there is no way you go to a store, you get a dough, you get provisions for your children. There is no way you get accommodation. There is no way you get medical facilities when you get to the hospital. Obviously, you don't need to sell your votes, but these things are not here. We will depend on what we call give us this.
But is the case, the scenario you think is the case is similar to the chicken and egg.
Unfortunately, I can't help it. That's the reality.
You are saying the populace must actually keep the politicians. This is not the right time to actually reject or accept or vote for somebody who can change. But these are people who are hungry, according to what you said. How can they now take that fundamental decision?
They have to take it to get out of the circle. It's a vicious circle.
So vote buying still persists.
It will continue. Know that don't worry, in the next few days, you hear that they will arrest some people. Know that they will arrest people. And those are the very few that get caught. And don't forget again, the politicians are very smart, very ingenious. They will devise a means of outsmarting either the security agents or whatever rules and regulations INEC puts in place. Or even we are always on the field on election day. The simple ones are now out. Before the simple one is that as soon as he votes, he gives a sign. And there is somebody who they will deliberately have put the ballot, the cubicle where they will vote in a place that somebody will see. So, and they know from the rule on the ballot.
It's not for the politicians to put the ballot box conspicuous in the place for people.
Yes,
is that not the role of INEC?
That is the role of INEC, but they know how to work around that one.
Or INEC too gets compromised?
No. I'm not saying INEC gets compromised. The politicians know how to work around that one.
Okay.
Wherever INEC puts its box, they know how to work around it. If they put it in a hall, they will look at how they will go to one corner. Obviously, they can't put it in a enclosed cubicle. It will be in a place. Yeah. So wherever they put their ballot paper, their agents will find, because that's the work of the agent. His own work is to ensure he knows those who vote for and against. So once you are voting, if your hand's under the top, they know the party that is on the top. If it's in the middle, they know the party that is in the middle. If it's at the back, behind, they know the party that is behind. So they follow the step, your body movement. So they know how to do these things. And once they do it, they know how to give themselves signs. So it's for us. It's for the people, just as I said.
No, we are not one side. What about Bayelsa?
Okay, we've not said anything about Bayelsa.
Now the deputy,
but I actually wanted him to still say something, maybe just a bit, about what this person said, that how did touts find their way to the venue where a peace accord was meant to be signed, where the IG of police and INEC chairman were present. And this was ongoing outside, and they could not do anything. The security outside could not stop these people, and the IG had to be protected too, and the INEC chairman. Is this not a bad sign?
I just said some few seconds ago that the politicians are the ones involved in this thing.
Maybe they are not.
2 days ago, or sorry, how many, last week or so, the same set of people too disrupted a program or almost linked some prominent personnel, Oba of Lagos,
in Edo.
Governor, in Edo State.
Yeah.
You see, there's a proverb that says the dancing bird who is on the street dancing has somebody playing for him behind. So if thugs have the access to that high-profile event, then you know that definitely they are being backed up by some people.
Even in the full presence of the IGP.
How can thugs have access
so if that could happen at the peace accord meeting, what should stop that from happening in the creeks or in the remote areas of the state?
I hope I will answer the Bayelsa issue.
Well, the Bayelsa is maybe primarily about the
disqualification of the running mate to the APC gubernatorial candidate.
What's their
on the regular names on the forms?
What's their prospect in this election? PDP said they can't stand on one leg.
The entire party, even the gubernatorial candidate should be disqualified. Do you
again,
share that view?
Again, to me, they're running a joint ticket. But be that as it may, you see, the law does not allow for ambushment.
For ambushment?
You can't ambush your opponent. In fact, that's what I did in court yesterday. My opponent came, we are supposed to start trial, we call it. And the man just came, they just brought an application that they want to do something. And I told the court that this is ambushment.
Maybe the viewer is interested. Raise your voice.
Oh, sorry. And this is ambushment. So be that as it may, the parties and the politicians, I've told you, it's politics. They know what to do.
That's from the court.
No, don't forget the Amici and the Omeha issue. The elections generally are conducted and are contested by parties, not candidates. So the candidates, because it's close by, it won't be. It won't be fair for me to promote the idea that the election, these people who are disqualified should now be closed totally. It's so close, and that will be one of the things that will cause tension and chaos. You see, in governance and law and politics, particularly law and governance, that's what we call public policy. If you want to do anything, you look at the public policy. These decisions we want to take, will it bring about good governance? Will it bring about peace and security? If they disqualify a whole set of people now, this day, obviously there will be crisis and tension. And of course, it may not augur well for the system. To me, let it lie. Then after the elections, the aggrieved parties will take the appropriate legal steps. That's all. You see, we must encourage civility. We must encourage the rule of law. We must encourage democracy and democratic norms as they are being practiced all over. We should discourage the use of fisticuffs and believe in force and authoritarian activities. If not, it will not take us anywhere. But I want to thank God that indeed activities like these, various interventions with people in various meetings and events are improving. But we are not yet there. We'll get there. We'll get there so that people will know that no, we can do things normally. And what is it? Is it only in Nigeria, just as I normally say? Is it only in Nigeria that we have elections? Why is it that it's Nigeria that we have all these crises before, during, and after elections?
Maybe all of us are culpable.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we are all culpable, including
the judiciary,
the media, all of us,
the civil society,
all of us. And don't forget, I'm sure your child will never be involved in election violence, neither you or your children. So we have a duty again, all of us that are culpable, in bringing out our future generation, allowing them and educating them that violence does not pay. And again, to confirm it, you find out that the children of all these big men are not involved. Why? You see, those who are involved are people who have issues.
Last time, do you expect surprises? Do you expect any surprises in either of these two states?
Of course, there will be surprises. There will be surprises. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
There will be surprises.
There will be, obviously. There will be.
All right,
elections are interesting, and we'll see some interesting things taking place. And don't forget, particularly in Kogi, it's not just the governorship election that is taking place.
Yeah.
Yes, we forgot to actually bring
the senatorial election. So
between Senators Makadebe and
Nigeria is a country full of abracadabra, Orishirishi, as my people will call it. Orishirishi, anything can happen.
Jumake, yes, you have.
Yeah, let me just read this last message you have here from Hamed Alabi from Ibafo. He says, to put all these elections brouhaha in proper check, electronic voting should be the answer. I believe Mr. President will sign the amendments this time around. Nobody has brought it up anymore.
No, we are working on it. The civil societies are working on it, and the legislature too is working on it. We want a sane Nigeria. We are working on it because we can't continue like this in a situation where there are so many crises. I told you, we in the Nigerian Bar Association, we now vote using our phone. You vote from the comfort of your house. And this argument that when we want to use it, it will not work, the network, no, we'll improve on it.
Yeah.
We'll educate people. If need be, even those old people in the village, they will have someone who will be there. I mean, people come on election day, they don't know how to vote, and people tell, we tell them, Mama, who do you want to vote or how do you want this? You look at the party, they will have told them, the politicians will have told them the logo. So tell them, is this something to, don't put it across the line, or we'll show them. You see that there's a line, your hand must be between.
Thank you so much for your presence on our program today.
To God be the glory.
And thank you, our viewers, and all those who sent in messages. We want to say thank you for being a part of the program. We have to go now. I am Jumoke Michaels. Bye-bye. And I'm Banji Busari. You certainly will be here from Monday to actually review what we have just discussed today. My name is Banji Busari. See you again on Monday. Bye-bye.
Tasty kill ni ẹ máa lò, Daddy Mommy. Tasty kill ni ẹ máa lò, tẹ́ bá fẹ́ jẹun.
Watch out every week on this channel for your favorite food tips program, Tasty Cubes Food Arena, as we serve you exciting food dishes cooked by very entertaining guests.
One important ingredient that must.
Oh, okay.
Tasty Cubes is the captain of the house.
Perhaps African they speak language. All the language is needed. People French.
Ofoha.
Yes.
Have you eaten a house before?
Yes, I have.
Very delicious.
Good. I wish I could ask for more.
Don't miss the fun. Stay tuned every week to Tasty Cubes Food Arena on MITV, Wednesdays 5:30 to 6 p.m.
The weekend is so special, especially Saturdays.
While some are preparing to go for Owambes,
Gelemida, Filatieda.
some just want to sit back and relax.
Pass me the remote, Jory. That's why we have the Saturday Morning Show. Saturday Morning Show.
A program that talks about health,
lifestyle,
good music,
education,
and topical issues.
It also features top celebrities in the country.
Tune in every Saturday,
7 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Saturday morning show, starting your weekend on a lighter mood.
MITV, the soul of entertainment.